Okay, guys, thank you so much for being on the call. This is week 2, the start of week 2 officially. I know we had 2 weeks of prep, and then last week was our first full week of doing our meal plans, and you guys have absolutely rocked it. Like, I'm so excited to see some of the results that everybody's having. Like, I know they posted like lost 4 pounds or lost 3 pounds or just feel really good, and then some of us are like still trying to work through the kinks of having a meal plan or doing this specific meal plan, because I know some of you have never done anything with Portion Fix before, or it's been a long time. So the progress that you've made through this past week, like, keep that going, keep that momentum going, and it's not going to be perfect. We've talked about this. It's not ever going to be absolutely 100% perfect. That's okay. So the point of all of this is a healthy lifestyle. So that means it's not going to be perfect in anything. We're going to have traveling come up. We're going to have different situations come up where you don't get all your containers or you go over your containers. It's a lifestyle. So when those situations happen, just track it in your workbook and move on. All right. It's kind of the same thing. If you ever did 2B mindset, it was very much focused on tracking. Try it, track it, and move on. The same thing goes with the ultimate portion fix. If you're tracking what you're doing, you're going to be able to pinpoint those areas where, okay, I noticed that I was feeling this way, so I overate or I underate or whatever. And then you can kind of go back and through your journal, like your workbook journal, and say, okay, last time I didn't handle this so well. Let me try a different avenue. Let me try going for a walk. Let me try working out when I'm stressed or I'm angry. Or let me try calling a friend instead of going to the pantry. One of the things that Autumn said on the video she did in the Master Coach group today was talking about, there was a post that came up. Somebody had said, I had a really emotional day, and so I ate a whole bunch of chocolate eggs, and now I feel terrible. Like, I feel like I undid all my work. And Autumn's response was, first of all, it's not Easter, so why in the world do you have chocolate eggs? Like, Easter's not for 2 weeks. So there's number one. Get it out of your house. You don't need it, right? We don't have anything Easter at our house yet either. So, and we probably won't. So that's number one. Don't keep it in your house. And number two, she said she was emotional, and so she turned to food. Well, if it's not in your house, you can't turn to it. But if you're emotional, like, dig in. Like, what are some other things that you could do? Again, go for a walk, call a friend, read a good book, watch a sappy movie, like, do other things that don't require going to sugar or whatever your vice is. And then the other thing was about, like, it undid all my work. Well, this is a lifestyle again. So as far as like, oh, now I just have to start all over. No, you just keep going. Whatever you're doing, like, just go back to your meal plan and pick up where you left off. You don't have to starve yourself the next day. You don't have to do 5 workouts to make up for it. You just keep going. So those are some really key takeaways for us as we head into week 2. Like, really be aware of where your emotions are and how you're handling them, and what kind of temptations do you still have in the house? Because it is only week 2. You may not have gotten rid of everything. All right. I'm just like, I understand that. I get that. So be aware of those things and keep baby stepping that process until you don't have those temptations around you anymore. So one of the things I want to touch on this week is kind of go around and see about the containers. Like, let's talk a little bit about containers. Were there days where you had containers left over, where you didn't eat all your food? Were there days where you overate and you had too many containers? Are you feeling hungry? I have talked to some others this week that said, man, I am still starving. Okay, so let's kind of work through this. And I had asked this person other questions like, okay, why are you hungry? Like, could you eat other foods from the list that sit a little heavier? Sometimes people say they can't get all their containers, so you would advise, okay, let's eat foods that are lighter, like quinoa versus like potatoes. It sits a little lighter. So for this person who is starving, I said, maybe we should try some of those denser foods and see if that will help. And then talk about, like, did you see any success on the scale this week? Did you see success with less sugar cravings? So let's kind of go around this little circle and see what was everybody's go-to this week. Like, did you see successes? Were there things that you could improve on? Were there containers left over? So I'll let Shannon start. She's the first one I see.
I never have containers left over. Um, my sugar has been better this week. Okay. I've been hormonal this week, so that threw me off at the beginning of the week. And I knew it was coming, but I didn't realize it was coming early, so that really just threw me off. My other thing, the scale has been okay, hasn't really moved, which is good. I don't want it to move either way right now. But here's what I did notice is that I was very anxious about a meeting I had at church tonight. And so I haven't been sleeping well all week. And I was talking to my husband about it earlier today, and we were saying how we've both definitely found that when we don't sleep well, the scale goes up. And we don't know if it's just because of sleep or because we're tired and we turn to those sugary carbs in general, or even just fruit, but more fruit versus more veggies. And so while the scale hasn't necessarily moved a lot, it's within the pound, it's still moved up. But I think it's just because I haven't been sleeping well and I've been stressed and turning to those foods. I've been trying to definitely, and we got rid of, I think the only sugary stuff we have in our house right now are those mini chocolate chips that we happen to have an open bag from before. My son puts it on his banana after school, with peanut butter and some chocolate chips. So other than that, we just haven't had it in the house. So, but I'm getting them all in. If I am hungry, I tend to I'll have an extra serving of yogurt, of my homemade yogurt, which is very plain, not sweetened, it's homemade. So there's nothing in it. And, or I'll just go for carrot sticks. That's been my go-to this week. But I also know that I've been running more and biking more with my son and being more active. So I expected to be hungrier. So it's just knowing what to go for.
Yeah, I think, and you're going to find kind of some of the struggles that some of us have had when you double up workouts or you're doing running and other things, that you do get more hungry. So I think you're already eating in maintenance, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I would just stick to that. And I think what Autumn suggests too, if you're going to go up, basically, if you look at the plans, what they're adding in is a veggie and a protein. And that's what you're doing with carrot sticks and yogurt. So, I think if you're maintaining and it's working for you, then I would just keep going with it. Because plan C is a lot of food.
Yeah, I'm on plan B and I haven't, if I go up, I try to add the carb last. Because my carbs, I get 3 carbs on B, and it's sweet potato, and my high fiber cereal. And I tried not to do any other carbs because my digestive system will not handle it. So it's just working around it. And I can tell when I eat a carb that I shouldn't, because then my digestive system lets me know.
Yeah. Okay, Laura, your turn. Tell us about your week and your containers and how things are going.
Well, Monday I only got 3 meals in, so I missed 2 meals, and I don't remember exactly which containers I missed. So that I know. And then Tuesday was a little better. I missed 1 meal, so I was still short a few containers. But starting Wednesday, I got all my containers in, except for, I think there was 1 or 2 days I was missing a teaspoon, and I caught it around 8 or 8:30. So I don't know how many people do this, but anyway, I just went and got me a teaspoon of peanut butter and had that. So that was good. So outside of that, I've been getting all my containers in, and I was very fortunate that Beachbody did come across with that insulated lunch tote bag, because that has definitely been my lifesaver. So
I'm so happy to hear that. Like, I know I had a job where I was living out of my car during the day, and I remember like packing everything that would fit in my cooler, and it was not the Beachbody cooler, it was years ago. So I'm so happy that they have that, and it works perfect for your lifestyle, like, because I know you're so busy. So are you saving time because you're not going to the convenience store anymore?
yes, I am.
Are you saving money?
Yes.
Yes. Okay, that's awesome. Like, that's what I want to hear, because I know like it's been kind of like a slower start for you this week, but you're really getting the hang of it now, right? Like, I'm so
Mm-hmm.
happy to hear that, because it goes to show like anybody who might be struggling right now, keep going with it, because it does get a little better. It's just getting those wheels turning, and then you're going to start to throw in some different recipes or different foods, and it's going to start to get fun. So just keep going, because Laura's showing it that you can do it. You can do it. Even if you start out with 3 meals, you can make it to 5 and feel a lot better, right? Do you feel better? Like more energy?
Well, yes and no. I will
Okay.
say yes and no. Probably I feel better overall due to the fact that I'm eating healthier. But in a way, I don't really feel like I have more energy. And I think it's just due to all this work that I'm doing. So, but I am patiently waiting for some free time because I'd like to start prepping some of the recipes out of the Fixate cookbook. And I found out the other day, one of the ladies that I cleaned for fell and hurt herself. So I won't be cleaning in her spot for a few weeks. So I was thinking about maybe utilizing her time slot to maybe make one of those recipes or two out of that.
That's excellent. Like, I love that you're already thinking ahead. Like, how can I use that time to your advantage? Because time is those things we can't get back. So that's awesome. You're already thinking about that. I like that.
Yes, it is.
Well, I'm going to be totally honest with you guys this week. I got back from the cruise and I weighed myself, and I was pretty much back where I started. So I knew that would happen with the countdown to competition, it's carb depletion plan on Ultimate Portion Fix. I knew that most of what you lose in that 3-week period is water weight. And I knew that I was doing it for a specific result, and I felt great on the cruise. I loved it. I felt really confident. It was basically doing what I wanted it to do. And then I also knew on the cruise, we had dessert every dinner. We had some wine, and like those were the choices that I made. So the results that I got after I got back was what I was expecting, which was back to where I started. Again, not overweight, still within my BMI, but it's one of those things where I'm like, okay, it's time to get back to what I was doing. So I got back to I'm doing Foundational Fix. And this week, I got in most all of my containers each day. I was having a little trouble with the orange. I mentioned in the group that orange used to allow you to do like fill the container with peanuts. And I always buy unsalted peanuts already shelled like in the container from Aldi. And one of my sons really likes it in his lunch. So I used to do that container of peanuts. And then I did that a couple days this week. And I looked on my food list and I was like, oh my gosh, it's no longer an orange. Oops. So really peanuts are counted as a blue container, and I don't really want to waste my blue on that because I'd rather eat a whole avocado. And if you mash an avocado, like a normal size one, it all fits in that blue container. Just bonus. Letting you know, if you love avocado, you can get the whole thing in that blue container. So that's what I've been doing for blue containers most of this week. I don't eat a whole lot of cheese, so I actually took a cheese stick on that field trip with my daughter, and I didn't eat it. I saved it and did my avocado for dinner. So I like the Foundational Fix because I'm kind of swapping meals around. My pre-workout and post-workout meals are still the same as they would be with like a Time Nutrition, but the rest of the day I just kind of mix and match. So we went out to eat on Saturday, and I got like a salad. So it had a bunch of different things on it, like feta cheese and avocado, which was probably too much of a blue. I don't know. And so it's kind of hard to tell when you go out to eat, but I did get dressing on the side and just kind of dip my fork in. So you do like the best you can do. And yesterday, I think when I was really getting hungry a couple days this week, I had still had a fruit left over, and that was about it, like a fruit and a teaspoon. So I mixed my mixed berries and my teaspoon into plain yogurt, and that was my snack. So I added an extra red on those days. So, I mean, my week wasn't perfect either. And I did see I lost maybe 2 pounds of the 6 or so I put on. So I'm kind of evening out, and I don't it's not really a big deal about the weight. It's just I knew that would happen. It happened. Full transparency. I'm getting back to the containers just like everybody else. And I did get like there's a paleo granola that Aldi sells. It does have some maple syrup in it to hold it together, but it's not a ton of sugar. And there's a lot of seeds in that because it's paleo. There's no oats. So I did that as my seeds a couple times because I don't do the dressings normally. So that was another thing. So, but otherwise I feel like back on track and I'm feeling good about it. So that was my week. So the next set of questions is kind of about like eating out and special occasions. So let's kind of talk a little bit. I just told you we went to the restaurant this weekend. But what I didn't tell you was the reason we went out, a couple things. I'm kind of lazy on the weekends, just so you know. So I prep and, cook all week long. And then by Saturday, I'm like, whatever. And my family might eat pizza and I'll eat pre-cooked chicken that I still have in the refrigerator or something. But we went out to a water park because it was storming this weekend and we had tickets from Christmas and the water park food looked nasty, like so gross. And even John was like, I am so hungry, but that food looks really gross. And I was like, I agree. So our choices were eat the crappy food, starve and let everybody be hangry, or leave the park a little bit early and go somewhere else to eat or eat at home, which I didn't have a whole lot planned. So we chose to leave a little bit early and go to an actual restaurant where we could have some choices of foods to eat that would be healthier than nasty pizza and nachos and stuff. So that's what we did. But so the questions are about eating out, like, have you eaten out this week, or do you see things coming up? And I know some people in the group travel or they have trips coming up or something like that. So eating out, special occasions coming up, if you foresee any restaurants this week, and how are you staying on plan when those things come up? What is your plan if those things come up? So, Shannon?
I'm not the person to ask. It's kind of funny because my husband has a bet at work that we're going to make it a year without going out to eat, and that'll be in May. So we don't eat out because I do have a sensitive digestive system. I take my food. When I went to the conference a couple weeks ago, I took food. I made salsa chicken in the condo, just threw it in the crock pot in the morning, and then had those steamable veggie bags from Walmart. So, but I can tell you what I've done in the past. So I've gone to eat out because I've been doing the containers for almost 3 years. So when I go out to eat, I just order grilled chicken and like a steamed broccoli or a double steamed broccoli even. And if I do a sweet potato, they're usually huge. I'll just do half a sweet potato with nothing on it. So I do that for lunch or dinner. Breakfast, I always just take my yogurt with me, my homemade yogurt. I just put it in a mason jar. I mean, when we travel to Florida to see my family, or Pennsylvania, we live in Tennessee, so no matter where we travel, Baltimore, Florida, or Pennsylvania, I take my own food. I also freeze recipes and put them in I portion it out into a Gladware container or Pyrex and freeze that and just take that with us. Because then it acts as an ice pack for the 10-hour trip, and then put it in the fridge or the freezer when I get there. So I'm really not the person to ask for this.
I actually think you're the best person to ask for this because you have experience in how to do this.
Well, I mean, okay. So when we travel, we're not traveling for Easter this year. But, okay, so Saturday we're going to my in-laws' house, and they live 2.5 hours away. So I will eat breakfast in the car. So will my son. So I will pack yogurt, cut up our fruit, put it in a container. We eat that in the car. And then for lunches, I pack my veggies, and I can go grab my husband's veggie bags that just have a green container of carrots. I actually cut them and dump it in the container, then dump them in the bag. And it has cucumbers and tomatoes in it. So he gets 2.5 greens a day just from that. So we'll take that for him. Levi will have half a turkey sandwich with carrots and an apple or something. And I will take my food, whatever we have from the day before, or I did a whole Instapot of chicken and just shredded it and measured out my red containers and dumped it in a baggie or in a Pyrex container. And I just take it with me. And if people get offended, I guess I don't care. I've been doing this enough that it is what it is. We just take a big cooler and throw it in. And that's just how I do it. I just pre-measure everything. Even Pyrex has these 1 cup little bowls that I put my half cup of sweet potato and my teaspoon of virgin coconut oil right on there, cold, put it back in the fridge, put it in my cooler, and heat it up at their house. I mean, like, it's just is what it is. And people are coming around to it. I mean, I've been doing this for almost 3 years, and I've gotten comments from every family member. But they see my results and that I maintain my results, and they see my husband's results and that my kid eats healthy and can run 5Ks and ride his bike. And people at church make comments, and I take my food there too. We had a chili supper, and I made my own fix-ate chili and took it in a container. But I could still participate and just take my own food. So we have a family night supper coming up next Wednesday, which we won't go to because I can't eat the food, and I don't want to take food for everyone in my family. And it's too tempting. So we just don't go, because the purpose of that is to eat, and we don't eat that food. So you have to remember the purpose. So when I'm going to visit my in-laws, I'm going to visit, it means taking my food, it means I take my food. A family night supper at church, well, that's the whole point of that. I can fellowship with those people at other times besides watching them gorge themselves. So we choose not to go.
Yeah. And I mean, there's a lot of things, especially in smaller churches. Like, we've been in all size churches at this point, and especially the smaller, like, little country churches we've been a part of, a lot of things surround food, like a lot of things about food. And I would bring my own stuff to dinners too. And, the problem with those kind of situations is that it's harder for me to say no to my kids. My kids get limits, but I don't tell them they can't have anything that's there. So like, they have to have a meat, they have to have a vegetable, they can have one dessert, that kind of thing. But it's not necessarily always things that I would eat. So I would bring my own food too. But here's the thing. By now, people know who I am and like what I do. So at this point, people are just like, whatever, that's just her, she's healthy, whatever. They can make weird remarks if they want to. And with you, anybody who knows your story knows that you have a sensitive digestive system. So that's kind of like your past. But I remember being brand new to this and having people make the comments and being like, oh, you're on a diet, or, oh, you don't need to watch what you eat because you're thin, or whatever. And I was like, remember, I wasn't. Do you remember that? Because I do. And that's how, like, what I'm doing now is maintaining that work that I've done. So, people are going to say stuff. That's just because that's people, and negative comments are like their defense mechanism or whatever. Like, people are just people. So I love that you just do what you need to do and don't worry about it.
And my advice would be just to front load it. So before you go, eat a handful of veggies. Because especially at church dinners, if there's veggies, they are loaded with butter and salt. So you're probably not going to want them anyways. My son refuses to eat them because they don't taste like the veggies. So we just eat our veggies before we go, and know that we're not going to have good carbs. You can only have one dessert. We definitely do those. Drink water, not the sodas. And people will adapt. And you're setting a good example. So think of it that way. You're going to get, anytime you go against the grain, you're going to hit resistance. So just keep in mind why. You got to go back to your why. That's why we set those whys 2 weeks ago. Remember your why, and then you'll be okay.
Yeah, and I did that today. I ate some of my leftovers from my salad before we went to small group because it was ballpark food night. What was I going to eat there? But they did have a fruit salad, and I brought a veggie tray, which my husband was like, that is not ballpark food. And I was like, I don't care. We need a well-balanced meal. So I ate veggies and fruit, and when they were eating corn dogs and whatever else, I don't know. So anyway, Laura, tell us about restaurants or eating out or special occasions. How do you plan to stay on track?
Well, let me back up a minute. I did not talk about my weight. I had believe it or not, and it might be just due to all the work that I'm doing, but the last several months I had been able to maintain my weight, and I had not lost any weight or gained any weight since we started this particular challenge. So I'm good there. I haven't gained or lost.
Okay.
But as far as the eating out and that type of thing, you know, I guess I would just prefer to keep doing what I'm doing because, you know, don't turn me loose on eating out because, you know, with what I do, those are bad choices. And so I'm staying away from that.
And that's
And
good.
so,
I think that's really good. You know where you're at and that's not something you can handle right now, and that's totally okay. We need to stay on track. So I like that.
but my aunt and uncle is planning on having Easter, a meal at their house a week from tonight, and they're planning it 1 week early because she knows some other people in our family are going to go to other places on Easter, and so next Sunday is going to be the first time I'll be eating at somebody's house during all this stuff.
Okay. So take this week to kind of think about, okay, what can you bring that will be healthy, and think ahead to maybe even ask what the menu is for the event and what will be there. Because I know, like, if I go to one of my aunts, she butters everything like to death. So like Shannon said, sometimes even the veggies aren't even healthy. So again, you could eat a little before you go so you're not super hungry. You can bring a healthy side, stick to meat and veggies if they're not soaked in stuff, that kind of thing. But it's good that you're looking ahead. I like that.
Yeah, she said she was planning on fixing like 3 different kinds of meats and 2 different kinds of potatoes. And so I'm sure it's going to be plastered in butter.
Well, going into it, I mean, you could, if there's 3 meats, pick the one that seems the cleanest. And then, you could, if she has potatoes, well, there's your carb. You can use that as your carb for the day, and you can bring a healthy vegetable that's maybe like steamed something, or offer to bring something like that.
Sounds great.
Yeah. All right. So, Susan has popped on, and I want to give you a chance to kind of tell us about your week, how things went with the containers, if you were over or under, and how you kind of maneuver if special events or going out to restaurants. So kind of give us your update.
The week went fairly well. There was one day I was under, one day I think I was over by one vegetable, which I didn't think was a bad thing. I guess it's better than a carb being over on that. But all in all, the containers are going pretty good. I'm losing slowly, so I'm thinking, maybe my bracket's not right, but I recalculated I'm in the right bracket. So I'm going down because, we did that, countdown to competition, and I lost. Well, I did gain a little bit back, but I'm back down again. So I'm happy with that. Eating out, it's funny, I went to a play today with my girlfriends, and they wanted to go for lunch. I'm going, I've got to go to a restaurant. It depends where you go to eat, of course, as to your choices on the menu. And if there's a lot of sandwiches, that's not what I want. So I ordered a salad with grilled chicken breast, and it had fresh fruit cut up on it and some cheese. And then I got my salad dressing on the side and just dipped the tines of my fork in it. So, and I didn't eat the whole salad platter because it was huge. So I had my chicken, my fruit, my cheese, and some of the salad, and it worked out. So, but
sounds like okay. The original salad story that Autumn talks about, why she even created those containers. Yeah.
And that's all I could think about is that whole platter full of salad that she showed us. But yeah, doing okay, actually. But workouts are going good. I'm enjoying the live workouts. It really makes you feel like you're part of it with all the chatter that they have. So I'm enjoying those. Missed my one on Friday because I got those immunizations Thursday.
Mhm.
Wow, did they knock my socks off on Friday? Yeah. And then Saturday I was doing okay. So I'm back to the norm.
It sounds like you're doing great.
I'm getting there. Some things are hanging. I went to go to the play and I had a hard time deciding what to wear because everything was hanging on me. So that's a good thing.
That's a great problem to have.
Yep.
Well, you know, when you hit like another milestone, there's your reward, right? To go shopping for some new clothes.
There you go.
I love that. I know, I was just talking to someone, at our small group tonight, they were talking about their teenage daughter. She's like 13 and taking her bathing suit shopping and how a lot of them are not appropriate. And, you know, when she goes to church camp, it has to be a one piece or a tankini that like covers everything. And I was like, man, it just took me back to like, I really hated bathing suit shopping, like dreaded it from the time I was like, I could even remember because I was always like heavier than I wanted to be. And like, that is such a fun goal to have this time of year. We're just starting into April is to like go shopping for summer clothes and go shopping for things that, you know, you can fit now that you couldn't fit before. And where will you be in 3 more months, you know, stuff like that. So that's really exciting. I like that. Well, we only have a few more minutes left of my free call, and there's a reason I keep the free version. It's so we don't get too wordy because I've already kept you for 36 minutes. So, but this week I really want you guys to kind of keep focused, keep in the zone. We are heading into Easter, and like Laura said, we're going to have some more of these like family get-togethers and maybe some travel. So start thinking ahead to how you're going to prepare for those. If you're going to be at restaurants, like what will you order? When I go out, I'm kind of like Shannon and like Susan. I will pick things that are like plain grilled chicken, plain sweet potato, steamed vegetables, or a salad that has dressing on the side, or things I can pick off, or things I know are on plan, like avocado or a hard-boiled egg or stuff like that, that I can see it, I know what it is in it, and it's just plain, and I can choose the dressing on it. And then the other thing I want to challenge you guys to do, which I've already seen some chatter in the group, is to pick out a fixate recipe that you haven't made before and try it. And this is a challenge for myself too, because I am such a plain person. Like, I don't know, it's the laziness in me, I guess, that I just always pick the same things all the time. So I'm going to pick a new fixate recipe and make it this week too, and see how that goes and share it with the group. So those are kind of like my go-tos for you guys. Just keep on track, start thinking ahead to travel season or things where you might be eating out, and make a new recipe. So is that good?
Yeah.
One quick suggestion with eating out.
Sure.
Order from the kids menu. I know it sounds ridiculous.
Yeah.
The portions are actually, if you would take your containers, which I do, and order from the kids menu and cut it up and put it in your containers. It fits better in your containers than the adult stuff. You won't have to take it home or find places. Like, if you're going out to eat, you don't always have a cooler in your car to put the food, so it might spoil before you get home. Plus, you're not just throwing it out and wasting the money. So order from the kids menu. I do it all the time.
That's a good idea.
I wanted to tell Laura the cauliflower pumpkin casserole is great for a crowd. It just do more than one head of cauliflower. It works great. I took it to a church dinner. It worked out good. And that's from Fixate.
Awesome.
Cauliflower pumpkin what?
Casserole.
Oh,
that sounds delicious.
It's
Came
different,
from
but it's
the new
good.
Fixate cookbook, the new one?
Nope, the first one. Well,
Oh,
actually, it's online. I'm sorry, I fibbed. It's online. It's when you can get it online when you go in under nutrition.
I'll find it.
Okay.
All right, guys, thank you so much for joining me, and I will post this recording and we'll start week 2. Have a great
I will and I will work on my recipe when I have time. I don't know if I'll get to it this week, but when I have time.
Sounds great. We look forward to it. All right. Have a great night, guys. Bye.
Bye.